the feelings of jealousy are very real. And I don't think we do a really good job of talking about some of those uglier experiences, but jealousy is an emotion just like anything else. And emotions are designed to give us information. They're messengers. And so usually what jealousy means is that there's some unattended need in my own life that needs some taking care of. So it's really not about the fact that your girl got married first. It's about the fact that this is something that you desire. And it's okay to hold space for both of those things. And I'm really, really happy for you, and also really sad that this has not happened for me. So can we as a circle make space to talk about all of those things, right?
Welcome to a new episode of Healed Girl Era podcast with me, Gia Peppers. Dr. Joy dropped so many gems in part 1 that we're continuing all of that conversation and getting deeper into jealousy within friendships and how to navigate tough transitions, how sisterhood is healing, and her own healing practices as a practitioner and a doctor. How do therapists take care of themselves? Dr. Joy takes us inside of her wellness and joy practice. We are so grateful that you will be back for part 2 of this insightful episode with Dr. Joy Harden Bradford, the founder of Therapy for Black Girls. Let's get into part 2 of our episode as we officially wrap an amazing first season of Healed Girl Era podcast.
Am I actually doing it for the right reasons? Or have I thought, oh, this has just become something that's really marketable and I'm getting paid from it, but I'm not actually acting responsibly with my platform?
Drag us. I love it. That is the type of conversation that I think is missing in this day and age. Is like so many people are, and it's experts from every type of field. It's not just the healing space. Right. We got people who lost weight on a diet pill or on surgery that are telling people to get in the gym. And it's like, wait a minute, ma'am. You lost that weight in 2 weeks.
Right. Not authentic.
That's not authentic, right? Like, so I hope that, and that's something that even in season 2, I will make sure that I'm calling a lot of people to consult on just like some things that I can make sure I'm doing better. Cause I never want my audience to feel like I opened up some trauma that they can't close. And I think the reason why I started this podcast is because I wanted there to be a space for people to talk through the eras of their lives and what they learned through them, but also a space for therapists to come on and be like, hey, these are the things that I do. These are the things that I've seen. And this is what tools I want to share with people on their healing journey. And so I always try to make that balance, but I will be calling you. Okay. So there are people, and speaking of tools, I want to ask you, for your own personal healing journey, because we know therapists have therapists. We know people have, our greatest healers have a space where they feel the most safe. For you, what have been the daily practices that you have on your own personal healing journey that have really been the key to how you show up for yourself in this space?
So my own therapist, for sure.
Amen.
And it's surprising because I was actually just talking to Lovey Ajayi Jones, who's a shared friend of ours. I did an episode of her podcast talking about like how much entrepreneurship like shows up in therapy. I just never would have thought I would spend so many therapy sessions talking about like running my business or like a book launch. Like all of that stuff shows up because wherever you go, there you are. And so therapy has been really, really important for me in building my practice and my career, but also in like taking care of myself and my family. That has been really important. Digging into like my kids' sports and stuff like that has made me also more active because I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take a walk while the kids are practicing. And so walks and like being outside really, really are helpful for me. I also really love to hula hoop.
Yes, you better be a hula hoop champion.
That is something that I have done since grad school. Wow. Like when things feel very, very overwhelming, like I just will get in the middle of my kitchen and like hula hoop to Beyonce or whatever.
Yeah.
Renaissance has also been an incredible part of my healing journey because I feel like that came out at like the perfect time.
Wow.
And so just like listening to Beyonce and having a dance party in the middle of my kitchen, like I think is also a great way to just manage my mental health.
Because that album brings out the confidence queen.
It's so joyful.
It reminds you that you're that girl girl. Like, it gives you affirmations to say in the mirror when you don't really know. Like,
Right.
okay, I'm feeling, I have
things.
crust in my eye, but I am that girl today. I'm gonna put my wig on and figure it out. But I love that. And there is this, you know, the part that you said about how entrepreneurship and therapy are so deeply connected. Let's talk about that, because it's all whatever you put in is what's going to come out. And in entrepreneurship, content creation, anything that is a self-starting job is going to take you on a journey through yourself.
The self will show up in all of the things.
What has been some of that evidence that you're like, oh, wow, people might not know this about how entrepreneurship is evidence of what you believe about yourself?
Yeah. So I was shocked for myself how big my control issues are.
Ooh, that's right.
And my perfectionism.
Oh, gosh.
So, I mean, I kind of felt like they were lurking, but I think this work has really like illustrated like, oh girl, you got to get this under control. And I think specifically because I am so passionate and I care so deeply about creating healing and like letting Black girls and Black women feel safe in spaces that I create and like never wanting to do harm. Like, I think I just have gotten, in some places, thankfully through therapy, I've been able to work through this, like too critical of myself, or really like, okay, I don't know if I want to put this thing out because like, are people going to receive it well? Or, you know, and so all of those things that like kind of showed up like during my dissertation and stuff, but like then went away because I was, you know, just doing counseling center work, like really showed up like when it was time for the podcast and especially the book, because that was a very different era that I was walking into. Like all of that I have spent countless hours talking with my therapist about.
I love that. Like, I think that's amazing to hear that the self-entrepreneurship journey, the self-work, like it's all from self. So can you share maybe a mantra or a mindset that you had to adopt to become the writer version of yourself and the person that got out of your own way to now have an award-winning podcast, Therapy for Black Girls? What were some of those things? Because people might be stuck in their creation phase and like, I just want to get there. I don't know where to even start. So maybe some of those mindset mantras that you were able to share with yourself that you feel comfortable sharing.
So I will repeat the one that I shared. You know, there's a message that comes through you that is not for you. I definitely hold on to that one deeply. But I think even more than mantras, it is having a support circle who is able to check me and say like, girl, this is good enough. Like, you have done enough. Like, you have given enough. I will let people like read my stuff or like listen to the podcast first. And they're like, Joy, this is good. Like, you should let this go. Like, the people need to hear this, right? And I think it has been really helpful to have my circle to say like, you got to get out of your own way because you are stopping like these conversations from happening or stopping these resources from getting to people who need it. I think something else that I will tell myself is that to really be helpful to people, you only need to be a step or two ahead of them. So I don't need to be like the knower of all things because I am not. But I am a little further in my journey than maybe somebody coming behind me. And so just being able to share what I have done is helpful to somebody who has not crossed that path yet. And so that has been helpful to me as well.
There is so much peace in that. Like 2 steps ahead, but also the power in knowing that your experience is valid and needed in the world is definitely some of the things that I told myself. Like, it's just time for you to get out your way. Like, there are so many dreams that I'm sure are sitting on our bookshelves collecting dust in our notebooks that we done wrote it down, made it plain. But if you don't put no face behind the work, it's never going to go anywhere but your bookshelf. And so for, you know, shout out to everybody who's watching that needs a little push. This is your push. This is your time.
This is it.
Get it done. Put it out. You don't know what's on the other side of it. And speaking of your sisterhood circle, I love that you talked about Lovey, and shout out to all of the women that have just illuminated what it looks like to be boldly and brilliantly all of who they are. I think Lovey does that so well. She was on this season, I think for episode 4 or 3. She's just, I get chills when I think about her because she's just so special. How has your sisterhood circle healed you and been there for you, what do you love the most about being inside your sisterhood?
Ooh, I love that I can really just authentically be myself. So two of my closest friends, my classmates from Xavier, both live in Atlanta with me. Well, not with me. We all are in Atlanta. And so that kind of happened by happenstance.
Wow.
And I love that they have known me for so long. Like they knew me before I was Dr. Joy. And so there is no need to kind of be on, so to speak, with them. Like I can just be, hair in a wrap, like in my sweats, cheering on the sidelines kind of thing. And I think that has been really important because that helps me to feel very grounded. So in that way, I have felt very healed. But I also love that I have made so many new friends along this journey. So Dr. Ayanna Abrams, Dr. Joy Beckwith, Dr. Key Hallman are women that I've met like within the last 5 years who have become such an important part of my life. And so I think, that to me is just a message for other people that you can't close yourself off to like relationships just because you have like girlfriends from college. There are all these other women and all these other people who can come into your life and be really, really special if you just stay open to that experience. And so I just love that I have so many circles of women who can love on me and help me to kind of just be myself.
Shout out to your sisterhood circle. Shout out to the new friends. That is such a great way to remain open, because we used to live in that era where it was like, no new friends. I ain't got no time. And I'm like, I don't, why would we ever say that? Like, I understand that some people harm you and there's betrayal and you may shut down and say, hey, I don't want no more new friends. I can't deal with that pain anymore, which I understand. But on the other side of that, there are so many people waiting to love you that we won't know unless we allow ourselves to experience it. So I love that you remained open to these new friends. And I also love that your friends who have known you for years can handle your light. There's a lot of people who feel, just reading on my timeline and, even on my TikToks, there's always somebody that's like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if they not there for you when you da-da-da-da, I'm like, ooh, what's
going on?
Why am I being dragged? I just was looking for recipes. But whenever people experience, or maybe even within the Black women circles where we see those realities that people can't handle people's light, and they're navigating new friendships, old friendships breaking apart, how do we ensure that we are creating dialogue that is a safe space for both people to come say you are becoming a new person in this, you have a new job title, you have a new house, you got a new husband. That's a real thing. People have to, life changes happen and our circumstances change within our friendships. For people who are dealing with that, where do we start? What are the things that we should just be preparing ourselves to do should we want to have these conversations, our difficult conversations with friends, with people we love? Yeah.
So I actually wrote about this in Sisterhood Heals, and you really just beautifully outlined it. There are a couple of ways or a couple of transitions that often happen in sister circles that then lead to this tension or can make it a little bit more fragile. So that is when somebody has a new baby or brings a new baby into the family, when somebody gets married first, and when there are job promotions or career advancement. And it can lead to a little bit of instability because, of course, like the circle changes, right? And in some really, really good ways, I think, but also in ways that I think we just don't make space for. I talk about them as the more prickly parts of humanity and the more prickly parts of friendships, in that, if you get married, for example, you may have a little less time to spend with your girls. And that's a reality. It doesn't mean that you maybe love them any less or care about them any less, but maybe there are different demands on your time. And so I think to be able to have some of those conversations, though, we have to approach each other honestly and from a place of not judgment, like not judging one another or like being critical of each other, because that doesn't, like, everybody just gets defensive and then you don't get anywhere. But I think you can go to somebody and say, hey, I really miss you. Like, I'm really happy for you. And I also really miss you. Like, can we make some time to catch up with one another? I think it becomes difficult when maybe you are wanting to become partnered and like somebody else in your circle has that experience first. Like the feelings of jealousy jealousy are very real. And I don't think we do a really good job of talking about some of those uglier experiences, but jealousy is an emotion just like anything else. And emotions are designed to give us information. They're messengers. And so usually what jealousy means is that there's some unattended need in my own life that needs some taking care of. So it's really not about the fact that your girl got married first. It's about the fact that this is something that you desire. And it's okay to hold space for both of those things. And I'm really, really happy for you, and also really sad that this has not happened for me. So can we as a circle make space to talk about all of those things, right? As opposed to getting passive aggressive and not showing up for the bridal party or like being late for the bridal luncheon, like all these ways that stuff pops up because we don't have the space to actually say to one another, hey, I'm really sad about this. Or you maybe as the bride saying, hey, I noticed some things have changed since I've gotten engaged. I just want to check in with you to see how you're doing and, how can I support you in this process, right? Because I think a lot of times, especially with like weddings and engagements, people get really, really antsy because I think it activates like some of that very early, like not chosen stuff that we have as little girls. Like it feels like, oh, somebody got picked first. And like, what does that mean about me? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean anything about you. It's just that they are having this experience first. But we have to be able to talk about that in order to move together through this new experience.
Ooh, that not picked, not chosen. It is a wildly triggering moment that, I have experienced, and I have learned how to be like, I don't want to be single forever, but in this moment I am. So let me be present with whatever this is, because I also talk to my friends who are mothers and wives, and they're like, girl, take your time. Like, girl, you can nap. What's a nap? I haven't napped since 1976. Like, it is like, so I'm also learning to be like, right now I'm the cute auntie. I'll take it. Lord, when it's time, I'm ready for it. And I've learned to also say to myself in those moments where I do feel like overlooked or, not chosen, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Like those sticking to those words for me have been a life changer and just a life affirmer. Because I think as society moves and grows, there are women who are single that want to be partnered that are having trouble finding those partnerships. And so for any of us who are experiencing that, I love that you said we have to hold space for the reality that that's your jealousy might be your feeling of, this is what I want for myself. So for people who are struggling with the want and the reality, the time between, how have you talked through some of those moments with your patients or with anyone who has come to you for advice about like, I am struggling to be single. This is hard out here. I am tired.
Yeah. I think creating space for that to be real, right? Because I think we don't do each other or ourselves any justice when we like try to shame ourselves for that feeling. Because I think there's a lot that tells women like, oh, just focus on your career. Like, you're fine, girl. Like,
if I hear another, he's coming. I'm like, you said that 16 years. You said it a long time ago.
Right. Like, I don't think we do each other any favors by making you feel bad for wanting partnership. Like, you want what you want. It's okay to have those desires and to create space for like the sadness that you might be experiencing as it relates to that, the jealousy that you might feel, the longing, like all of that is very real. And so we have to hold space and validate that is what you're feeling right now. And what other things can you be doing to, kind of continue to pour into yourself? So does that mean showing up for other people? Does that mean taking new trips? Does that mean new hobbies? Like what other kinds of things can you be doing in the waiting so that it doesn't feel like you're dwelling there, but also holding space for this is something that you really want?
Oh, I love that. The dwelling there instead of dwelling, making space for other opportunities in your life, for trips, for things like that.
But also putting yourself out there. I mean, because I think the other thing is that a lot of us are like really comfortable with Netflix at home, right? And so it's like, okay, if you want partnership, like what kinds of things are you doing
I'm on
to
the
also
apps.
put yourself out there?
I'm on the apps and I'm actually answering. I'm happy for myself because for a while I was in my Law and Order SVU. I just thought everybody was a catfish and they was Mariska was gonna have to save me. Like I was just like, I can't do this. These people are crazy. But I was like, you know what? Meet at a public place, put on your location. Exactly. Don't go anywhere with these people that you don't know, and pray and do what you do. I have loved this conversation. As we are coming to these last few moments, there is So much goodness that has come out of you saying yes to your call, yes to starting therapy for Black girls, yes to Sisterhood Heals, yes to your Sisterhood Circle that you do. What has been your most proud thing that has come out of therapy for Black girls? If you can choose one, maybe a couple things.
That feels so hard. Oh, so I need to.
Go
Yeah.
to, you
Okay,
can do
so
12.
so the gold star, like shiny one, is winning the NAACP Image Award. Like that feels like such a big deal.
Yes.
It just feels like it's grounded in such history. Like, and to have therapy for Black girls recognized in that way just feels incredible.
So deserving.
But the daily one is the emails that we get, or like the random people I run into, like in airports, or if I have somebody on the podcast and I don't even know this until they tell me, like, oh, I found my therapist in the directory. Like that to me is like the biggest testament to the work that we do at Therapy for Black Girls, that it trickles out in so many ways that we may not even always know, but that is so incredible because you doing the work of healing then heals your circle, heals your community. And so it then feels like we are healing together.
I love that.
Yeah.
Is the mission for Therapy for Black Girls, I know now it encompasses so much. Now you have, you know, your group therapy that you do. You've got the podcast that people can tune into. You've got the book now. Like, what is the current mission for Therapy for Black Girls, and where would you like to see it go in the next 5 to 7 years?
Yeah, so the mission really hasn't changed. So the mission has always been to make mental health more relevant and accessible for Black women and girls. And I think the new ways that we're showing up and doing this work is in real person, in real life experiences. So we just had our first live show, of course. And so we're looking for more ways to bring the community together in person.
I love that. And for the women who want to sign up for your small group, it's called Sisterhood, Sister Circle. What is that? Like, tell, for people who might not know, what is the Sister Circle?
Yeah, so it is our smaller community within Therapy for Black Girls, because there's so many people, right? And so we really wanted to create a space for people to connect more intimately. So it's called the Sister Circle. We have lots of like weekly events. So we typically will do like virtual makeup parties.
And
oh
my God, that's so cute.
Yeah, every Sunday night there's a community check-in for people to just come let us know, like, how are you doing? What's going on? And again, we're looking to do more in real life things because people want to connect with the other people in their areas, right? And so we're looking for ways to bring the community together in person. So all of that is at community.therapyforblackgirls.com.
Perfect. And for the, you know, there's the Sisterhoods Heal, Sisterhood Circle. There's so much around sisterhood that I think is so amazing to watch. And I always see comments on like YouTube and these different spaces where people say, I wish I had a sisterhood like that. I wish I had a tribe like that. My friends don't show up for me like that. For people who are looking to start that within their life, how do you recommend they go about just creating a sisterhood that looks like what you're talking about, that support, that accountability, that love?
Yeah, I think you have to start where you are. And I think for a lot of us, there may be people in the background of our lives that with a little bit of work can become foreground people. So the woman that you see dropping off their kid at the same time as you every morning, or the sister that sits next to you in yoga, and maybe y'all exchange, knowing glances, but you've never taken it further. I want to encourage you to take a step further. And I think this is difficult because people are afraid of rejection, right? Like nobody wants to hear like, oh, this is weird. But sometimes you got to step out there to take a risk to be able to get a reward. And so just saying something like, hey, do you want to grab a smoothie after yoga? And just keeping the door open for further connection. Now, being realistic with your expectations, right? Because we don't know. This could be somebody that could be a great friend, but it could also be just a great smoothie that you shared. But you got to, again, take that step, get out of your own way to make the invitation and ask people to spend time with you.
That's so sweet. Like, you just, because I did that in college. I've done that several times where I've just seen a girl and I was like, I love her outfit. I'm going to be her friend. She's going to be my friend. Now, mind you, thank God it worked out. And I have had friend hurt around like I put too much expectation on that person. I did not
Yeah.
know
You
that
didn't
person.
know
I just
them.
wanted her to be my friend, and it didn't work out. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means
Right.
it didn't work out.
It didn't work.
I had to, just take that mindset in my dating life and all the things. I was defining myself by the rejections that I would get, and it was driving me to feel so worthless when it had nothing to do with me.
No.
It was just the situation. It didn't work, and it was the timing.
Exactly. That's what it is for a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we are wrapping our season 1 of Healed Girl Era. And I usually ask every guest to tell me about the mantra that, or the sacred space and what they did to get from who they once were to who they are becoming. You kind of shared that all through this. So I want you to actually give an affirmation for women on their healing journey to continue to stay on the journey. As we wrap up this season, what would you say to Black women about the importance of staying on the healing journey and all that can come from it?
Ooh, I think I would say I have experienced tough things, but I can also continue to keep going. There are things I may want to fix, but I am incredible as is.
That is. Thank you, Dr. Joy. Now, we give all of our guests flowers, and I've got Raven coming, and I just want to give you your flowers because therapy for Black girls changed our lives, and you continue to offer ways for us to show up for each other in our healing journeys, whether it be through your book, whether it be through your podcast, whether it be through your sister circle. And none of us really would have been able to get that, like even just the ease of the name Therapy for Black Girls, and how all of us were able to be like, I need to find a therapist. Child, it's a space. I just need to go on therapyforblackgirls.com. Like, just saying yes to that call has allowed so many of us to even start our healing journey, to even look there. Like, it's a wellspring that keeps on giving and growing. And I just thank you for showing up for our healed versions, because without you and women like you who are also doing that work, a lot of us would have been lost and not able to connect to that version. And so I just thank you for that portal, and thank you for being a vessel for us. And thank you for your light and your love and your commitment to making sure that Black women are more well.
Oh, thank you so much, Gia. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
Yes. And y'all make sure that you all continue to support Dr. Joy and all that she's doing. Is there anything we can support that I know the paperback version of your book is coming. Yes. Tell us about it.
So the paperback version of Sisterhood Heals comes out June 4th. So I would love for you to grab a copy, but also bring me to talk with your women's groups and your organization so that we can have deeper conversations about sisterhood.
And where do they go to book you?
Yeah, so you can go to hellodrjoy.com.
I love that. Y'all make sure y'all go. I'm going to have you back for season 2. Don't even be surprised when I'm in your inbox. And I just thank you all so much for tuning in to this first season. And I just thank you again for being here and for the amazing work you do. And I saw that your sister circle has memberships. So I want to pay for 1 or 2 women to be a part of your sister circle for a year, for the next year. So I want to make sure that you all do that. So follow the Healed Girl Era page to find out how to enter into this moment. I want to make sure that I give it to people who are following both of our pages, but also people who are just ready to take that next step in their healing journey. So the first 2 people in my inbox, that's why it's good to be the first to watch. Amen. The first 2 people in my inbox that I see, you will be getting free for the year, honey. Okay. For the year. To be in the sister circle, because I think what you're doing is so amazing, and just thank you so much for that work. And y'all make sure you follow Heal Girl Era Pod, and I'm going to be checking that you follow Dr. Joy as well. Thank you. And make sure you DM me that you want to be in the sister circle for this next year, and I will see you very soon. And there are resources. There are a lot of resources on your page about the Loveland Foundation gives free therapy
vouchers.
Yes,
yeah.
Perfect. And so make sure you guys stay tuned. There are a lot of spaces that are offering payment plans and payment for Black women to get therapy.
To see therapists.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. I love that. Well, make sure you stay tuned for Healed Girl Era podcast season 2. There will be more announcements. Get to those DMs, and there'll be resources in the show notes for more for you to take the next steps on your healing journey. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much to Dr. Joy and all of the amazing people that made this conversation happen. And thank you for being here and listening and supporting season 1 of Healed Girl Era podcast. Be sure to follow us at Healed Girl Era Pod on Instagram, and follow Dr. Joy at Hello Dr. Joy, because I am serious about taking care of 2 lucky women to be a part of her Sisterhood circle through therapy for Black girls. Check the caption and show notes for more information. And because we learned so much on this first season journey, I'm going to do a whole nother episode recapping some of the most insightful things I learned in our conversations. So stay tuned for that. Happy holidays, and 2025, y'all, we are back and more consistent. Thank y'all for the grace. I am learning in real time how this whole podcasting by yourself things work. So again, thank you so much for being a part of any episode that you may have tuned into for Healed Girl Era podcast. No matter where you are in your healing journey, I pray that you are well and that you know that you are absolutely capable of getting to experience life as the most healed version, most whole version of who you hope to be. I'll see you all very soon, but thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Be sure to share, comment, like, and subscribe on your way out. See y'all.